welcome back to Homefront Harmony. I'm your host, Stevie Dahl. I'm excited we brought back one of our favorite guests with us today, Mr. Bill Gaylord, the most interesting man in mortgage. How are you?
Thanks. I'm doing great, Stevie. How are you doing?
I am phenomenal, my friend.
You are always phenomenal.
Oh,
Very
please.
nice, fresh smile, ready to go.
The check cleared. Good to know. All right. So let's talk today. We're going to get into some weeds on the VA home loans.
Yes.
And because we want to take it from perspective of the spouse.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times people don't realize the spouse is very much a part of this process.
100%.
I know that watching how my husband works and what he does, and especially like when we go look at a house together, we're in it together. I want to show you this. We might separate a point, but then we're always bringing each other back to the point because the whole process is together in it.
Correct.
So now the amazing Bill Gaylord has written a book. Yes, he has. Bill, please tell us the title of your wonderful book.
It's called Mission Homefront for Military Spouses. Yes.
And what is it about?
So it is about essentially how military spouses, they're such an integral part to the military life, right? They have to cover for the active duty military that's going on, that may be going deployed, that may be training, that may be doing this. And it's hard to keep everything going. And the military spouse really has to fill the gap for the military member and understand what's going on, in addition to just basically helping their active duty military succeed in the military.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're just going to kind of go through a little bit about this book itself because he had some topics and some points covered in here that I think are phenomenal. And I think that maybe sometimes military spouses aren't aware their contributions in certain areas.
Yes.
So letting them know, helping them be ahead of it. Because I've got to tell you that I was a person who did not care if she ever owned a home. I'm a nomad. I can move around. I can do it. It's fine. After I bought my first house, it's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Okay, it's pretty cool to
Yes.
own a home. I'm not going to lie. The house we have right now, every once in a while, I'm just like, own this.
Yes.
This is pretty awesome. Okay. So I do enjoy that part of it. So let's talk first of all. I think a lot of military families and spouses consider as well that because of the way the military life flows, because they're transitioning, because they're moving, because, bases can change, etc., they don't understand that, yes, there is still that value to owning that home. Yes, that is still something for you to have, for you to go. So mindset-wise, for you, from the other side perspective, kind of talk to us about helping them understand.
Well, I'm going to back up just a little bit because the active duty military has a lot of benefits. And I believe that the military spouse should understand what all those benefits are.
Okay.
So that because it's a combination together, they have access to all that stuff as much as the military active duty.
Okay.
And so they need to understand what that is. And then the biggest thing that the military people get during their career when they're active duty is what's called BAH, Basic Allowance for Housing. And over a career, call it a 20-year career, the military gives them about $400,000 if they use BAH. Many of them will use it just for rent, for off-base rent, instead of a purchase. And if they utilize that $400,000 that they're provided each month, it can pay for their mortgage payment month after month, year after year.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people just don't understand that that's a benefit that they have, and it's one of the best benefits out there.
That's awesome. That's so very, very awesome. And I think that, too, people need to understand, even if you've transitioned out of service, even if you've been retired for a while, the VA loan eligibility is still there. Okay, it doesn't go away. They're not telling you, you've served. They're still going to give you that. And there are different parameters and eligibility that you and your team understand and know how to go through to help.
Yeah,
guide.
so there's active duty and then there's retired veterans, right? And so they still have the VA home loan benefit, the veterans. They don't have the BAH, which is basically money that they provide for housing during their active duty. But the VA home loan benefit is a 0% down program, they can actually get into a house for $0, which is like, how does that happen? And the $0 is if the realtor can negotiate seller paid closing costs, right? So
Right.
there's no loan out there. The interest rates are better than
Yeah.
any loan out there. It is the best loan out there in the
Absolutely.
marketplace.
Now, if a military spouse, just so that they understand that, say, even if your spouse is deployed and they're active duty, they're away, but you're home, you're still getting that BAH, you're still able to afford, you still have that probability. It's not that the military member has to be there right there.
No. And that's where the military spouse has become so important, right? She's filling in the gaps while he's away or she's away on deployment. And so understanding the benefits that they have, she can stay in the house, look for a house, find a house. And some people have made careers out of this where they actually go into and understand how to purchase a home and then further that, and they PCS from one duty station to the next duty station. They keep the one that they had previously as a rental property, and then they go to the next duty station and they actually buy another one using their VA, because you can have more than one loan with VA at any time. It just depends on how much eligibility they used.
That you have on it. Now, see, and we've talked about building our brand, right? Now we're talking about building up our investment portfolio. We're talking about getting us that substantiated there. This is a great way to do it. And I know that a lot of people think, oh, well, I have to have so much money to do this, and the baby steps often are just what you need to get in the door.
It's just diving in and honestly making the leap of faith to a certain degree, and a calculated risk, right? If you look at real estate over the last 87 years, real estate values have gone up or stayed the same in 82 out of 89 years, which is unbelievable. And if you look at a 10-year period in regards to values going up, there has only been one 10-year period that it went down, and that was during the Great Recession. So it's unbelievable. And the other thing that I'm so passionate about this. I've been doing this like 31 years and then was in commercial appraising 7 years prior to that. So I've been in real estate for a long time. And it's like, oh my gosh, these people have such a benefit that they can build their wealth. And if you look at the stats, a homeowner has 40 times the net worth of a renter. So if somebody has $10,000 in the bank, just as a normal, average person, many times it's less than that. The average homeowner, because of the equity that they build up, has 200,000 plus, 400,000 plus.
Right.
And it just is a lifetime of just helping you when you get to that stage in life where you want to relax a little bit and you have that ability to do so.
How many people caught that Diver Dan's son said, dive right in? So, and I think that for me, what a lot of people do is I go big right out the gate in my mindset. And that's not necessarily the best path to go to. Sometimes by starting off and just having some properties that maybe you're building up to bigger so that you're not having so much, you're actually building that portfolio to go with it. Because the goal is that endurance, that long lasting, that end game,
Yeah, and it's easy to live on base when you're active duty, right?
Yeah.
It's like, everything's taken care of. I got my housing. It's easy. And but from the standpoint of actually building some assets, building some wealth so that you can retire maybe early, and you get your pension or you get your a lot of people I see are disabled they get some kind of disability income after they retire, but being able to utilize that and have a house that is yours, that you don't have to move, that is there for maybe the military member had some PTSD problems, and having a safe environment for them to stay in as well. That's a really solid way to keep them healthy.
It's a very good point. And I will say, y'all know I'm big on the mental health, and especially for the spouses themselves. Having a home that's yours is really helpful with that. It is a safe and secure, helpful thing, and that's a good thing, and it's okay to want that and have that. So that is very powerful. I will say, I recall when my father was in service, he had to get to a certain level before the family was eligible to like access really decent housing on the base. Probably they didn't understand at that time what they could have actually done with the BAH to use it, to grow it, to have different ways. So I love that we're telling people about that now.
Yeah, and a lot of people have this fear of like, well, I'm going to be PCS'd in 2 years anyway, so I'm just going to, why would I go buy a house? Then I have to dispose of the house, and then I have to, so they don't understand all the options that are available to them when they purchase a house. And like you said, you can always start small.
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman in Atlanta that bought like a $40,000 house, his first house. And then he was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I have my own house and my payment is less than now the rent that's been going up, right?
Yeah.
So then he went from that house to another house. And then he became really a savvy investor.
Right.
And you understand. So home ownership is really great for people long term because it not only gets them into a home to build wealth through the home, but they become more financially savvy. There's little things that like, let's learn more about the retirement side. Let's learn more about savings. Let's learn more about investing. Let's learn more about this, because they just become a little bit more aware of what's going on. So the homeowners become a little bit more financially savvy, which helps them build their wealth, not only from their home, but also from other aspects of the financial industry.
All right, so we're going to play a little game, and we're going to dispel some fears that military spouses may have, because they're the ones, like when the spouse is deployed, they're handling the situation. So when the service member's out, it's them. Let's talk about some stuff that people believe that's wrong. So some people believe that it's easier to rent. It doesn't cost as much because if something breaks, you don't have to pay for the repair.
Yes.
But they can raise your rent.
If you look at life over the last 50 years and you look at a chart, you just see this rent going up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And it does not come down. So sometimes with a mortgage payments can sometimes go down.
Yeah.
Through a refinance,
Yeah.
and it can actually make your payment lower. So, and then some rents, depending upon the contract you get into, you have to cover some of the costs of maintenance.
Yeah.
So it just depends on where you rent and what the agreement is with the landlord.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk about a little bit that the thought is, oh, I got a mortgage loan. This is it. I'm stuck with this. No. You have your friend in Bill. Bill, let's talk about, say the rates get better. Like now. Doing a few refinances, are we, my friend?
I've got one right now that is actually bought about a year and 3 or 4 months ago. And the rates were much higher than in the mid 7s. And so we're doing a refinance now, and we're going to save this person $600. And oh, by the way, when they bought a year and a half ago, the value that they bought it at, the new value right now, just in the year and a half, is $40,000 higher.
Holy
so
cow.
their payment's going to go down $600, and they built $40,000 in new equity. So it's a really tremendous. There's risk to everything.
Yes,
Stevie. There's no values can go down just as easily as they go up. But history tells us that real estate is a very good vehicle to basically live in the investment that you've made. So for military spouses, I think it's a great thing to understand what's there. And the mil spouses, for sure, they make decisions.
Right.
They very much make the decision on where they're going to be.
Yeah.
And hold it together, in my opinion. Yeah.
All right, let's dispel another myth that people have. They figure there's only there's one or two paths. They either have to just buy one house because that's all they're going to be, mortgage the one, or if they're going to do this for investment, they got to buy like 6. Help.
No, this is like I think social media, honestly, Stevie, has created this you see everybody, oh, you got to buy multiple units and you got to do this, you got to do that. that's that. You don't have to do that. You could buy one house and be super happy and keep your mortgage payment the way it is. But if you get PCS'd, if you're in active duty and you PCS out, there's many times you can reuse the VA and turn your current one into that. And some people will, buy a house for 2 years, upgrade it. They may be handy and they can do some upgrades to it, and they sell this one and go to the next one. So you don't have to have a million rental properties. And it's not typical for people to have, 50 different rental properties.
Right.
What I see generally is most people, if they do have rental property, it's probably 1 to 4.
Yeah. And that would make sense on that end.
Moving from one to the next.
It's like your own brand, your own investment portfolio. It's your own story. What are you looking to do and accomplish with this? And the beauty is this VA loan is a great way to help give you that leg up to get it, to accomplish it.
Correct.
And I think it's so important for military spouses to get educated on the VA loan. I think a lot of times people, especially military families, look at the surface, get the few bullet points, and they're like, okay, and they don't understand deep down there's so much more to it.
Yeah, there's missing education. And there's some education. I do believe the military does try and educate them on the VA home loan benefit. But when you're young, right, at 21, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, you're basically like, a home? That's not for me. I can't afford a home. What am I going to do about this? So then they go buy a car, and then sometimes they start doing things that maybe financially are not feasible. So I think a lot of it becomes education. And then the military spouses are not always included in that education.
Right.
So there should be education for the mil spouses as well to understand that, and then go, and then there's that conversation between them that says, I think we should consider purchasing a house, and this is why. And they don't have to start with, the huge house.
Right.
They can start with a condo. They could start with a townhome. They could start with a small starter home. So there's a lot of different ways to get into it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know when my husband and I, we did not do a VA loan. We did not serve. But when we bought our house, we were renting it. And we decided, since it was the first house we ever lived in together, we wanted to buy it. And so we worked with the owners, and, I had an in. My husband negotiated the deal. And but our rental payment, our mortgage was the same as the rental, but all of a sudden we started earning equity in the house, and we started building that up and doing that. And it's kind of phenomenal. Like he was talking about the chart, when you look now from and we just bought the house in 2021.
Yeah.
And the difference now in the equity that we have in it is insane.
And the other thing too is, like, everyone looks back and they go, oh, well, that was the best time ever. But if you keep looking at, there was a lot of best times over the last 50 years, right? There's never a bad time to buy. It's just a lot of real estate is how long you hold it. So how long you hold it, it's essentially, if you hold it for 8 to 10 years, the likelihood that you're going to be positive and live in a house that you actually enjoy will be very good. If you're holding it for 2 years and you only hold it for 2 years, you don't have as much time to have that appreciation. So there's more, if you will, there's less upside, if you will, to that type of a house. And that's where a lot of, I think, the military, they get a little bit held up on the PCS. I'm moving in 2 years. I don't want to buy a house.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is just understanding what that investment is and whether or not you have the wherewithal to hold it or rent it. And you want to find out what your mortgage payment is so that somebody could rent it. But to me, real estate is long-term, and you should look at it from an 7 to 10 year time frame.
All right. Now, and here's a different perspective to it too, because there are different types of personalities and people that are children of military members. I loved moving. My sister did not. If my parents had owned a home and kept it as we transitioned and everything that we did and had one back there, I think there would have been a real possibility of my sister being interested in that property. We drove by when we were here up at Nellis, the house that they were given when they were here, stationed here in the military. And it was the first time in my life I went back to a house that I had lived in when I was a baby, because you don't have that connection as a military kid. So not only are you investing for a financial benefit, but there's also that little happy little family emotional
the nest
side to it that I think is something to consider as well.
So I was at a gymnastics birthday party with my son the other day.
Okay.
And I was talking to a married couple. They were in their early 30s, and they were both officers.
Okay.
And they haven't bought a home.
Okay.
And I asked them why you haven't bought a home. And I wasn't putting them on the spot. They didn't know what I did. I don't like
putting
that.
them on the spot. It's fine.
But they basically said, well, we're always moving in 2 years, and we just don't want to have to go through the sale of the other property, and we don't know how long we're going to keep it. And, and so part of it is you have to get in the mindset of, okay, I'm going to get into the real estate business.
Yep.
And this is it. But as an officer, their BAH, basic allowance for housing, is like, it's a lot. And
it's a lot.
And particularly because when you have a married couple where both are in there, you get not quite double the BAH, but you get extra BAH because they're both in it.
Yeah.
And so it's a very good way to do it. And if you move, there's so many different things that you can do. You can rent it because there's always people coming in. So if the property is somewhat close to the base or in an area that has a lot of military individuals, you just rent it out to the next one, right? Yeah. And so it's not that hard to keep it occupied. And at the same time, every month the balance goes down and the value is probably going up.
Gotcha.
So it's a really good benefit for them. And they have the ability to potentially buy another home in the next duty station with whatever remaining eligibility they have.
Oh, that makes sense. And that would be, you're renting to people
You're renting to people
the military community is so tight.
It is super tight.
Yeah. So
everybody kind of lives in the same areas, right?
You do, and you find them no matter where you go. Once they find out your family is military in any way, all of a sudden you have this connection with these people. That I have people, doesn't matter branch. They find out my dad was Navy. It's like boom, instant family. Yep. So you're kind of helping each other out and helping it grow, and maybe giving them insight for when they move on what they want to do, kind of thing to it. So at the gymnastics party, did you do the balance beam or the vault?
No, I did not, but my son did. He's Mr. Gymnastics boy. He's just about 5 and he's pretty active.
What is his favorite?
He just loves doing flips.
Okay.
And the trampoline. The trampoline, he just bounces as high as he possibly can. And he's got these sturdy little legs and he's just flying.
So my dad was a state champion gymnast.
Oh, he was?
Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so gymnastics has been a big thing. Like I did gymnastics when I was a kid. My niece did it better than me. But yeah, he was actually a state champion gymnast. Wow. And I think his strength was the bars.
Okay. Yeah.
I know he did do pommel horse. He wasn't a huge fan of the rings. He could do it, but I think his strength was the bars and what he did. So we have some cool pictures of him mid routine and stuff with it. But I love it. That's so awesome.
Yeah, my brother was a college gymnast, so he was really good, and then did some training for aerobatic skiing, and had actually qualified for the Olympics.
Oh,
so but I think our little guy has some of those genes in him.
There you go. Well, I will tell you this much, and bringing it right back to Homefront Harmony as I do. So my dad had a gymnastics scholarship for college.
Oh.
And he went. But his desire to serve his country outweighed the scholarship, and he walked away from it, I think, in the middle of his first semester. And he went and he signed up with the Navy, and then he went to Vietnam for his first tour.
Wow.
And he was just like, nah, it's cool and it's fun, but nah, this is what I want to do.
That's awesome.
Kind of thing to
That's
it.
Awesome.
So, yeah. All right. So let's talk about, say we have a spouse and they've been talking to their service member about potentially buying a house, and they want to start doing some research, and they want to start getting some information. Other than just Google it, what are some great resources, areas for them to go to find out some more information?
Yeah, there's definitely a ton of resources, and it's hard to like really dial in what's going to be the best.
Gotcha.
So I honestly would try and find a professional,
Okay.
like a real estate agent that specializes in that, right?
Okay.
A mortgage person that specializes in that understands the nuances, and just have an education. So, I mean, they could also read the book, a book about it.
Got a book for
Got
you.
a book. But, and those things can at least get them the mindset, because it's a process, right? To go from, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can be a homeowner, to understanding it and taking that time to really get educated and feeling comfortable and feeling what's going on. Because so many times what I see is that people jump in and then it's like they don't really understand it. And it's like a fire hose trying to learn it and understand it.
Yeah.
And then they get a little bit, like freaked out about it.
Oh, yeah.
And so if they can start the process and start to get educated and read certain things and understand about BAH and understand about the VA home loan benefit and what that brings you,
Yeah.
I think just that process will lead them to being educated. That will make them make good decisions on the homes that they purchase, such as what to look for in a home. It's not just about the financing, it's about the home, it's about location. So it's just becoming more educated.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the points you hit there that is so huge is, we've talked about this before, that team, getting that team that you trust and you support to help you. Because let's say a service member and spouse are in the process and the service member gets deployed or gets sent out. That spouse needs to have a team that they can go to and they can trust and they can make it happen and do what needs to do.
Right.
And be able to provide those answers that may come up as they're going on, so that they can handle that, so the service member can do what they need to do.
Yeah,
and keep that balance.
And then other service members have probably gone through the process. They've seen it, they've done it. And getting recommendations from those service members as well is another good way to try and get educated. Because there's a lot of people that take advantage of people in the military just because that's just a big thing. So it's just trying to find reputable people that have done it, that are out to help, like you, Stevie, with this, which is so amazing, and get them into the home.
We want to hurt the people that try to take advantage of them.
It's not. It's frustrating.
That
and
makes
I've
me
seen
very
it many
mad.
times.
That makes me very mad. Okay, don't do that. All right. So let's say we have someone coming in here. They're interested. They're looking to do a VA loan. They come to you and they're like, help me out. Now, I know you actually do sometimes like in-person little trainings and stuff discussing VA loans, and you have a realtor with you kind of go through the process to try to help them guide.
We actually have one coming up.
Yeah.
October 18th.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that those kinds of opportunities are huge for spouses to look for as well, so they can get, because you're right, sometimes the military educates the service member. And we've all played the telephone game when we were kids. It starts as one phrase here, and by the time it gets to the end, it's a whole nother ballpark. So we want to make sure we're cutting the telephone game off and we're getting the facts so that you know what's happening.
Yeah.
And
what I do too, Stevie, is, there's a lot of terminology in our business, right? And there's a lot of people that throw out DTI and LTV and all these terms that people are like, okay, what is that? And so I really like to walk them through essentially a simplified fifth grade math calculator, explaining the different terms and how we operate and what we do. But it's just like, so it's right there in front of them and they can see it, rather than, because I don't know about you, but when I get on the phone and someone says, well, either you with DTI and LTV and you're going to be okay and all that kind of stuff, it kind of goes here and then out here. But if you see it and understand it, then you all of a sudden go, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. I get it.
That is so huge because I got to tell you, there are so many acronyms out there in the
Oh
world.
my gosh.
And then you have
Well, in the military.
the military has them.
Right.
The federal space has them. They're different than what the military has in the federal space. Then you're going to go in the real estate world has. Sometimes Jim and I will have acronym offs.
Acronym offs. That's a good one.
Because we both do it. We're telling the other person a story about something that happened that day. And you throw in the acronym. That may be an acronym he uses, but it means something totally different in his world kind of thing to it. So the breakdown of that so people understand is so helpful because there are just so many.
Yeah. But one of the things that I like to say is, if you're going to DIY, get a professional that's going to help you get through that, right? Because it's hard to understand everything. I have people that say, well, I'm fixing my credit or I'm paying this off to make my debt to income ratio better. And a lot of times they think that's the right thing to do, but many times it can hurt them.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to, DIY, just go with a professional that you trust, that you had been recommended to, and then just let them help guide you to where you can get into the house.
And I think that's so essential to understand. And one thing I've seen is I've seen a lot of people will come here to Vegas and they will say to my husband, well, I'm in real estate back in whatever state they're in. Well, that's great. But the laws in each state, the regulations and everything, they differ just enough to make it a little different dance. So you want to make sure who you're working with, that they're able to guide you, they're able to tell you, you know and you understand where you're going with it. They're a tour guide. They're kind of just helping to show you the highlights. We were just in Philadelphia. Jim ran the Rocky Stairs. I filmed him. So I ran the Rocky Stairs.
I saw that.
Yes,
was awesome.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that was great.
Thank God he edited out his wife going ha 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 behind him, trying not to fall. But we got to do that and see. I feel like that kind of can align when you're going through this process. When you're trying to understand how the VA loan works, when we asked a guy who was born and raised there, oh, okay, so if you want this, you're going to go down the block there, you're going to make a left, and that's over there. If you're looking for this, you're going to want to go right here and go that way. You could go to that one everybody else goes to, but really what you want to do is you want to go to this one because that's kind of the process, I feel like, when you have the right team in a home buying situation.
And I think mill spouses can sometimes get into the real estate business and serve those other military members purchase houses. So if they become educated on the home purchase themselves, they can then understand what's going on. And they may have kids at school, but during the day they can look at homes, they can talk to their friends that are also there, and then potentially help them purchase a home. So and we've got a really good friend of ours that has done that and has done an incredible job, and they trust each other.
Well, and same token, if a military spouse grasps and understands the VA loans on a high level, in a high way, maybe there's an opportunity for them in the mortgage world to have, hey, we're building your brand and your investment portfolio. Look at that. Multitasking. I love it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's a phenomenal part of it. So for you, this book is fantastic. I'm excited you've gotten it. We want to be able to get you guys to be able to find it so you can get it. I'm just saying. What is one of the key things you wanted to accomplish when you wrote this book?
The key thing that I wanted to accomplish was basically let people understand how they can really get into a home and know that it will build their wealth over time.
Okay.
And that it's really not as hard as they think it is. There's some fear associated with buying a home or potentially picking up and moving. But if you understand what you're getting into, then the fear goes away.
Yeah.
The fear comes down. You can now get into this home and enjoy it, and then build your wealth and life off of it.
Absolutely. And, emotionally, it's such buying a house is an emotional thing. But I got emotional. I don't like emotions, but I had them. But with it, it is a process. And I think that if you're able to utilize the VA loan and you're able to build this up and the spouse and the service member are educated and they understand how it works, when we get to the point where that service member is transitioning out of active duty into the civilian world, now the spouse and the service member aren't feeling like, okay, boom, the military is letting me go and I've just got to figure it out. You can have a plan, you can have something solid, which kind of helps lessen those stressful moments, you know?
Because they're, if they get out of the military, they're going to have to, number one, find another property to live in if they're living on base, or potentially move to another area that they want to move to. And when you move to that other area, you still have to have the financial wherewithal to, because now with rent, I mean, the security deposits that they're charging now, it's hard. It's hard both ways. And with a 0% down VA loan, it's a really good program. Unbelievable.
Here's a little personal highlight to when you own a home. Then it doesn't matter if you want fur babies or not because you own the home, so you can have whatever fur babies you want. Whereas when you rent, you're at the mercy of what the landlord's okay with you getting. We like fur babies in our house.
Yeah, I'm working with a client right now who has a Great Dane. And she can't really find a home, so she's buying right now.
Yeah.
So, and then we had another one, good friend of ours, who just bought his first home. He's 35, and he's like, "How's your home?" He goes, "I don't ever want to leave it. I love it." Right?
There you go.
Yeah. So it's really, you feel pride of ownership. You feel very proud that you were able to become a homeowner, and it's just that it feels really good.
It is an awesome feeling. I will admit that for a person who didn't care, I love that. And it's stupid stuff, people. But it's like, if I want to paint that wall blue, I can paint that wall blue. Huh, okay. I can move this over here. I could put those shelves, install shelves in this. I can, redo this bathroom if I want to redo it. And it happens. Like once you get in there, and you're, I could do that. Now, do you do everything you said you were going to do in spaces and time? But it's just the fact that you have that freedom is pretty fantastic and awesome to do. We bought our house and it has a ton of fruit trees in the backyard. And we can't pick them ripe to save our lives. We have tried so hard. And so we actually have a landscaper and we said to him, "Oh gosh, we can't even pick these. If you want them, go ahead and have them." And they get so excited about that. We're never allowed to get rid of those fruit trees because those guys just come back and they're just getting it. And it's getting, because we've got pomegranate tree and apricot tree and fig tree and a pecan tree and just all kinds of stuff. But it was funny because I never thought I would be a person who had a house that had trees and had stuff like that was just not in my head. Not like I didn't think it'd have vegetation. And now I have it.
Now you have it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and in the fall when the leaves change, I mean, they are a pain to clean up, but it's so cool looking at our house. Like we're about to put our Halloween stuff out.
Oh, that'll be really cool.
We go big. Yes, we do. So we have a bunch of inflatables that go out at Halloween, and then we have another round that goes out at Christmas.
Okay.
And like kids, when they're trick-or-treating, stop in front of them and get their pictures taken with them.
That's awesome.
We love
You're
it.
one of those houses.
Oh, gosh, yes, we are.
Okay.
Oh, yes, we are.
Okay,
we sit on the front patio. There's a little mini patio on our front. We sit there, we order pizza, we drink wine, and we hand out candy. That's how we do it. Stuff that you didn't realize would be fun and you get to enjoy to do, like that.
Yep.
Until you end up in a house or in a scenario, and that is, I think, what is so cool about the opportunity with the VA loan for those in the military to get that chance, to get that stability, to get that growth. Not saying you got to take it and make yourself a millionaire. Just get yourself that leg up where you're standing strong, where you're building that. Jim, when we got married, he said we need to diversify our financial portfolio. Jim is diversifying our financial portfolio because Stevie doesn't know how to diversify a financial portfolio. She's learning, but this could be just that first.
It's the best first step.
Yeah,
and you can get into. Well, I'm getting a little bit deep here, but it's called leverage, right?
Okay.
And when you have money to build your money, you want to leverage the money you have. On a VA loan, you're putting 0% down, And any growth that that house has
Yeah.
is gaining on a $400,000, $500,000 investment
Yeah.
that's growing.
Yeah.
So you put zero money down and it earns, let's say it goes 5% on a $400,000 house. That's $20,000 that you earned on zero money that you had to put down. That's called leverage.
Because multiplication taught us anything times zero does not do that.
That's
so
right.
that's why it's
Right?
called leverage.
Yeah. So it's like, it's unbelievable. And it's,
Yeah.
such an amazing program. And everybody that has the access to it should really look at it. Some can't, some won't, some are just not cut out for it. But
Fair.
if you can, I definitely would get educated and learn about it so you can get in.
Absolutely. Okay, so if someone is interested in obtaining a copy of this wonderful book to help advise them and guide them, where do they go?
Go to billgaylord.com.
Okay.
It's currently in the publishing mode right now.
Okay.
And then we'll have that available on my website.
Oh, so they can reserve their copy so when it's available.
We'll put a reserve your book.
Okay, so listen to me, spouses. Go to billgaylord.com, reserve your copy of his book so you can get educated, so you can know, so we can help you grow your investment portfolio.
And it's not that big. It looks big, but it's not as big as you think. It's easy reading.
Have to say, first time I ever heard a guy say that.
Well, thanks, Stevie.
You're welcome.
It's super huge. Is that better?
It's the bestest thing ever. Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate every time you come here and help
Thank
me
you,
out and
Stevie.
visit with us and guide them and help them. And I will be posting some information about your upcoming event on the page and everything for that as we keep an eye out, guys. Find me, Homefront Harmony, Homefront Harmony Pod. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Stevie D. George, find me wherever you can, and I am happy. I will keep this information out and post it for you guys so you can get what you need and the information that you need. The whole point of this is for you. So we need to make sure you get what you need. Now, Bill, if they want to find you, they go to billgaylord.com.
billgaylord.com.
Okay. And
Best
do
place.
you have a podcast?
We have a podcast called Las Vegas Pitch Podcast, and that's where we interview a lot of different realtors.
Great.
So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. So Las Vegas Pitch Podcast. There
And
you
at
go, friend.
billgaylord.com, they can, if they want to learn more, I'm happy to walk them through what I call a CIA analysis, and it's credit income assets. And it's just going through and see where they stand right now and what they need to do.
Your
to get
three-legged
into a
stool.
home. It's a three-legged stool. You got
Three-legged
it.
stool.
You remember that.
I
That's
remember
good.
that. It wasn't Central Intelligence Agency. I remember that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you so much for being here, Bill. I appreciate you greatly. All right, people, it's that time. Like, follow, share. Find me wherever you can find me. Subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Homefront Harmony, Stevie Doll. I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your day.